Hi everyone, this is Psychic Sleuth, and I'm here today to talk about Kenneth Howard validation. And I've had a terrible time making this video for you guys. But first off, before I forget, I wanted to actually show you this picture because this is where I was having problems. Okay, so you see the yellow arrow? That's where from what we can gather, where he was found. Over here is the house. Um, that circle is where I had searchers on the 13th. So very interesting. It was very close. Uh, I'll explain a little bit more, but it looks like we had them right there. We just didn't have them up on the ridge because they didn't think that he could get up there. So first of all, I want to say that I'm so glad that this little boy is home safe. Miracles do happen, and prayers are answered. And just because a miracle happens doesn't mean that people have to look on the sinister side. I'm sorry, I do try to silence my notifications. I really don't know how. So anyways, people don't need to look on the sinister side. People tend to forget that these are old souls in little bodies. Um, so in my visions, I only ever saw Kenny alone wandering alive. He was alone, completely alone the whole time. In the reading, I simply stated that he had wandered off, and I was shown the way he went in different places, one being an outbuilding or a brown building with a slanted roof that was small. Where I talked to him and told him to come out so that they could find him. He was found the next day. So I truly, with all my heart, believe in a way that I was astrally there with him in my remote view, that he heard me telepathically, if you want to say that. I don't care who thinks I'm crazy. All I know is there are a lot of things are possible, a lot of things are unexplainable. Um, People honestly have no idea. So I know that I sat there and I rocked and I cried and I prayed to God for him to be found because I felt like I was failing him because I could not seem to um, figure out exactly where he was. I listened to these people who said he wasn't in this area when he actually was very, very close. They could have made it up on the ridge. I shouldn't have listened. I should have been more adamant, and that's my fault. That's me having to learn to be more adamant and say nope, that's where he's at. Um, so, anyways, I begged God to send me in the right direction, and a little after that, I saw a vision of a woman giving him a sandwich. At first, I didn't know what it meant, and I was like, oh man, someone has him all of a sudden. But no, that wasn't it. It was just that he was going to be found, and that was probably a searcher giving him a sandwich or something. So now I took the case as soon as I heard about it on the 13th of May. I worked on it all for 2 days. The first day, I had some family friends in the group with me as I tried to zone in on him. I felt he was within zero point 0.5 miles. Now, things can have multiple meanings, especially numbers, as I always say. And same time as I get distance or any kind of miles, it can be anywhere within those miles. At the time I did the reading, I do believe he was zero point 0.5 miles, but he could have started to move back. He did move around in the forest and zigzag back and forth, according to what they had stated on the news. So at one point in time, he could have been that way, but also, or out that far, but also, like I said, um, he could have been anywhere within that distance. So I had sent searchers out to that area with a bunch of tall grass on the 13th when I took it, and there was a pond close by, and they said they couldn't go up the ridge or they didn't feel he'd crawl up there. I also, it didn't help that I had a skeptic in the group with me, which I didn't know at the time, that said thanks for nothing. And I had family members leave the group without a word or a thank you, which is fine, but I was hurt a bit at the time because I was trying to find their family member and they were just talking away. But they were just walking away. But okay, I still continued on the work. I didn't understand it, but I told them he's probably easily missed if he was hiding or sleeping. Turns out that's what the news actually said later on. So I had them right there. Just they couldn't go up on the ridge, and I truly thought I had them on a wild goose chase, which I didn't. So after he was found, one of the ladies simply quoted that they found him in the area we were searching, as in her and the other people that were there. Um, so they needed to just go up, not down. And the reason I think that I got down was because it was like he went off his back and then down a little bit and then forward. So when I saw him going down, I saw him walking down, and then he went this way, and then also down the street instead of. And he was also left, so I got left, and that was exactly right. You know, if you're facing towards up up the street, it would be to your left. So that was also validated. I just know that I kept seeing tall grass. So I was also trying to release a video that one of my team members have done, and they had parts of the messages and all that, and I'm very thankful for her doing it. We haven't been able to get it up on YouTube, so it is in the Psychic Sleuth group though. But I kept seeing tall grass, I do remember. But there are little buildings out there. If you look at some of the um, videos and pictures that do have a slanted roof. So I truly believe he was in there or in a place like that to have been able to survive, because it was very cold and wet and there's lots of animals, so he had to have found shelter. And actually one of the people that was a searcher that did talk to my teammate did state that she felt that they did feel that he found shelter because of how he didn't have hypothermia, he wasn't taken off by an animal or anything like that. So in the reading, I had stated that I heard the back of the property. He actually did go out the back of the property. There was a wooden deck that you climbed down and out, and that's how he left. The other part of the family, I believe it was the granddaughter, received the reading the night before he was found. I was told that it made a lot of sense, which I do feel that the searchers and the cops did have the reading. She kept asking me to tell her the spot, and this is where it's my bad, because I totally had the spot, but I let them make me think it was wrong, which it was not. So I do think it's funny that the news next day, after they talked about, the news next day stated that he was chasing bugs, and that's what happens when kids chase bugs. I think that's funny because that's exactly what was in my reading. So also, they found him in Area 5, so there's the number 5 again. That's what I mean by maybe there's a reason they said 0.5 instead of a half a mile, like normally, is because they wanted to make reference to that 5. In the reading, I stated the number 7 and raccoon. He was found near that street, or that raccoon street and 7, kind of the same, right there. Also, it's weird because number 7's been coming in for a while in a few different readings. Just it's been coming in continually. In my reading, I stated 2 houses in a hollow. From a searcher on YouTube, she validated he was found exactly 2 houses in the hollow. In the reading, I mentioned 4. He was found the 4th day. In the reading, I mentioned horses. I thought it had something to do with the area. Turns out they needed horses to find him, and horses were brought in and used. Also, the number 9. There were 9 searchers. The color orange, I said that they were wearing orange in the reading, that they were calling out for him and he was hearing them. So I think I was seeing the future with a lot of this reading. There were 9 searchers and they were wearing orange. And I think at one point they did miss him, and that was another part of the reading. So I think they were calling his name, and that's why he cried. Prior to anything being released about the search dog, I had seen a brown dog, kind of funny, in Delphi Auto Rights, which now we know contain multiple cases and future. I received the name Hank, and boys will be boys, see how they run. Makes you wonder if that was kind of for this case. Before anything was ever released, as far as pictures, I got Spider-Man. Turns out they used a Spider-Man chair to have Hank smell to get his scent. There are pictures on the news. I'll see if I can show you one right here at the end. There was very tall grass. You can see it in the pictures. Also at the edge of the forest, seems like that's where he was on a cliff. The word stony kept repeating, coming from a kid. He would call rocks and cliffs stony. One of the mistakes, like I said, I made was that I stopped forcing that area because people kept saying they couldn't find anything. I should have been more adamant. That's my fault. Next time I will be more adamant, especially when I'm so drawn to an area. I could not leave it, honestly, on the map for days. But then I started kind of looking around houses, but I think maybe the house was because it was maybe close by, or I did see that there was houses close by there, or I could have actually been describing his house where he probably, I don't really I don't really know sometimes. Um, so I also saw pictures of water accumulation, which I kept saying more water accumulates, as well as purple flowers that were on the news. The color red at the time I got, before I ever knew what he was wearing, I was told that he was wearing red sweats. Um, so I do have to say that this is one of the most accurate cases I've worked on. It was so vivid. I could feel myself there with him. I know that he was protected. I know that our prayers were answered, and this boy is a little miracle boy. Yes, miracles do happen. Yes, God does answer prayers. I've seen it more than once in my lifetime. I guess that I just wanted to validate, to show that yes, people like me can be helpful if they are followed, if their info is followed. And that's what I'm saying. I know that the family had my reading, and I know that the cops saw it. I know that the searcher saw it. So I think it's kind of funny that they stated exact quotes from my reading when they talked in the news, but yet never said, "Oh, a psychic helped us." Why, I don't know. I don't understand it. Did I get a thank you? No. I mean, that's okay. That's not why I do it. I'm glad that he's found. I'm glad that he's found. But sometimes it's nice to have my work recognized, because I do work very hard on it. I do work for many hours on it. I did cry. I was there with him, and I couldn't do anything to help him. So to put yourself in that way, and feeling that way, you can understand where I'm coming from. But it was very stressful for me. It does get very stressful for me, especially when I feel like, we need to get there. We need to get there now. And I'm not there. Hopefully one day I'll be able to fly there. But for now I can't be. So it's a little hard on me. All I can do is hope and pray and pray and pray and pray and hope that they get what they're saying. Because they kept going over and over my reading, and it did make sense. So I can only think that they did follow the reading. There's no other explanation, which is great. I'm so glad that I could help. But the reason I like to do validation is to show that, yes, I can be accurate. Yes, I am accurate. Yes, I can help. Yes, maybe if people see this, then the next time I ask for a cop or search or a family member for help to go somewhere, then maybe they'll listen. That's the whole reason for this. And because I was actually blown away, and so was my teammates. So I just don't understand why they couldn't say a psychic helped us, but whatever. I mean, they're used in cases all the time. Okay. So if they did use my reading like we think, and I did help in any way, like I said, I'm thankful I was able to, and I'm so happy that Kenny made it home and that he's in good condition. And I truly love that little boy's spirit. Like I said, I feel like I know him because I feel like I was there with him. And it would be awesome if I could meet him one day, even through video chat. But I get so connected to these cases. I get so connected to these spirits that when they're alive, it's amazing, and it just brings so much joy to my heart, and that makes me realize, yeah, this is why I do what I do. And I could just cry right now, because honestly, I was so happy that he was okay, because I knew he was, and I knew he was wandering around out there, and I had people so close, but at the same time I felt very I don't know, like I was failing him because I couldn't find him on time. So I'm so glad. But things were as they were supposed to be, because I got a lot of future. If you look at this, 4 days, he was found the 4th day. And the 9 searchers, the dogs, the horses, that was all future stuff. The Spider-Man chair, everything was in the future. So he was meant to be found. So sometimes I have to just let go and allow it to be. But our little miracle child. So I'm so glad he's home. And thank you for liking and subscribing and listening and following and being supportive. I appreciate all of the beautiful comments that I receive. When I receive beautiful comments, I try to ignore the negative ones and just kind of push those people to the side, because ignorance is not bliss. But I do want to thank you guys for being so supportive. I want to thank you guys for the Malia case, for helping me. I want to thank you guys for, I am human. I'm not going to always be right. I do have to put that out there. But I am pretty accurate at what I do. Either that or, I can't say I can misunderstand how things come in. And I've noticed too, if someone's going to be found a lot of the times and there's nothing I can do, it'll skip over that and I'll start getting visions on somebody else. We've noticed that too. It's kind of weird. But, um, I do love what I do. This is my passion. I want to continue doing it. I love the support that I receive, and I just want to thank you guys for giving me that support and for your kindness. And if you're not kind and if you're not supportive, then I don't need you on my channel. I have enough people that are. Thank you very much. So, thank you so much. And thank you for liking, subscribing, being here. And I'll see you next time. Join the Psychic Sleuth podcast group. We have a new podcast that's out. I did Kiera Cole's. You can find that on Stitcher. Also, like I said, all that information is going to be in the Psychic Sleuth. There's also a page, and you can find me on Facebook. You can also give us validations and new cases in the psychic sleuth at gmail.com. So once again, thank you. Have a wonderful day.